watching women's college basketball, it's very clear just how important Lisa Bluder has been to the sport of basketball, especially women's basketball, and in
Okay, get this. The biggest basketball audience ever, 32.3 million people, is now on the verge of disappearing. The future of women's basketball, the next generation, is quietly being destroyed by what I call a coaching catastrophe. While a superstar like Caitlin Clark thrives under Lisa Bluder's guidance, other incredible talents from both past and present generations are being completely overlooked. Seriously, 90% of these innovative athletes never even reach their full potential. Just imagine a star player getting benched after only 3 minutes of gameplay. Your favorite rising star could be next. The entire basketball world is about to explode. And what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see the future of this sport.
Because Caitlin Clark right now, obviously, she is the star of basketball, men's or women's. If you are, like, debatable, she is the star of basketball. And the thing is, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, is that the reason why she blew up is because of Iowa.
When Lisa Bluder first saw Caitlin Clark play, she immediately recognized a player who could completely revolutionize women's basketball. But here's the truly fascinating part. Bluder saw something most coaches still fail to grasp. She did something almost no other coach would dare to do. She recognized Caitlin's once-in-a-generation gift, and instead of trying to fix her or force her into a mold, Bluder built an entire system completely around her talent.
And if you guys look back, there are tweets from 2021 of like college basketball being like, why is Caitlin Clark being ignored? Why is everyone just focused on Paige Beckers? Caitlin Clark has been as good. Caitlin Clark should be better. And when Caitlin Clark didn't get nominated for Player of the Year, there was so much uproar. They gave her co-freshman of the year, even though Paige won Player of the Year outright, but didn't win Freshman of the Year outright, which is mad.
So, let's talk about what that actually means for women's basketball. Right now, we're witnessing an extraordinary moment where one coach's choice to encourage creativity, instead of stifling it, has transformed the entire game. We're seeing regular season matchups pulling in millions of viewers and shattering record after record. Caitlin Clark's games are now drawing attention at levels usually reserved for the Super Bowl.
Look at this and it's like, you can't do this. Showing them big videos of Caitlin Clark back in 2021. The difference is that obviously the better they got, the more fans she got, and she became arguably one of the biggest stars in sports.
But here's where the story takes a darker, and often unspoken, turn. Across the nation, coaches are taking players with that same kind of unique, game-changing talent and forcing them into rigid, inflexible systems. Systems that strip away everything that makes those players special. And as you've just heard, that is the exact opposite of what Lisa Bluder did with Caitlin.
So important that Lisa Bluder was Caitlin Clark's coach, because if Caitlin Clark could have gone somewhere else, and we don't know about Caitlin Clark. So this is Lisa Bluder talking about Caitlin Clark.
She has, raised the excitement of our sport. There's no doubt. Just because she does things in a different way than anybody else can do. Plus, she has all the intangibles. She's a great student. She's a great role model. She does everything. She loves being that role model.
Okay, let's talk about Malaysia Fulwilly at South Carolina. Seriously, here's a player who might just be the most electrifying talent we've seen since Caitlin Clark herself. When Fulwilly has the ball, magic happens. She has this incredible ability to make plays that leave everyone in the gym speechless. The kind of moves that make highlight reels instantly go viral. But what's happening to her? She's barely seeing the court in crucial games. Just 3 minutes. And why? Because she doesn't fit the system. Think about that for a second. We're in an era where women's basketball is finally getting the attention it deserves, largely because of players who break the mold, who play with flair and pure creativity. Yet coaches are still stuck in this outdated mindset where control is somehow more important than creativity. Now, let me break down why this is such a massive problem. When Caitlin Clark first arrived at Iowa, she boldly declared she would take the team to the Final Four. People laughed, thinking she was unrealistic. But Bluder didn't shut her down. She channeled that confidence and that ambition and built something revolutionary around it. Now compare that to what's happening with other talented players today. We're seeing coaches who would rather have someone averaging 3 points per game, as long as they play within the system, than let a genuinely creative talent flourish. It's like owning a Ferrari and insisting on driving it like a minivan, just because that's what the manual says. And here's the truly frightening part. This isn't about one or two players. This is a systemic issue threatening to derail the entire future of women's basketball, just when it's finally getting the recognition it deserves. We're at a crucial tipping point. The sport can either embrace what makes it special and unique, or retreat back into the safe, predictable patterns that kept it in the shadows for so long. So imagine this. What if Caitlin Clark had ended up under a coach who insisted on teaching her the right way to play? We might never have seen those logo threes, those no-look passes, those jaw-dropping moments that made people fall in love with the game. Instead, she could have been reduced to just another spot-up shooter. Her extraordinary gifts buried under layers of proper basketball. And that's exactly what's happening to players like Fuwuli right now. When she's on the court, she does things that make you say, wow. Behind-the-back moves, ankle-breaking crossovers, passes that shouldn't even be possible. But instead of celebrating that creativity, her coaches are trying to rein her in. They're treating her natural instincts as problems that need to be fixed, rather than gifts that need to be nurtured. This goes beyond just a style of play. We're talking about the very soul of women's basketball. The sport is at a crossroads, and the decisions being made right now by coaches and programs across the country will determine its future. Will we see more players like Caitlin Clark, allowed to push boundaries and show us what's truly possible? Or will we continue to see talented players forced to suppress their natural abilities in favor of playing the so-called right way? The irony is that these old-school coaches think they're protecting the game, but in reality, they're holding it back. They're so focused on avoiding mistakes that they're missing the bigger picture. Sure, a player like Fuwuli might occasionally make an error while doing something spectacular, but Clark has already proven that the benefits of unleashing creative talent far outweigh the risks. Just look at the numbers. When Clark plays, arenas sell out. TV ratings shatter records. Social media explodes. She isn't just playing basketball, she's creating moments that go beyond the game. And she's able to do this because her coach understands that sometimes you have to let your star shine, even if it means living with the occasional mistake. But here's the crazy part. Right now, some WNBA coaches would actually bench Caitlin Clark for playing her natural game, simply because she doesn't fit their rigid, predetermined idea of how the game should be played. And that mentality isn't just hurting individual players. It's sending a dangerous message to the next generation watching from the stands and from their screens. That's why Clark's success is so important. It's not just about one player. It's proof of what happens when talent is allowed to flourish, rather than being forced into a box. Across women's basketball, however, we're seeing the opposite approach. And the consequences could be devastating for the sport's future. Conform or sit. Express yourself and you'll be labeled undisciplined. Try something spectacular and you'll find yourself on the bench. Take Dawn Staley, for example. There's no denying her greatness as a coach. Her record speaks for itself. But when it comes to managing creative guards like Malaysia Fuwuli, there's a fundamental disconnect. It's not that Staley is a bad coach. It's that her system isn't built to maximize the potential of players who think outside the box. Look at a recent loss where Fuwuli played only 3 minutes. Here's a player with the kind of natural ability that makes highlight reels write themselves. Yet she's watching from the bench because she doesn't fit the traditional point guard mold. The parallel with Caitlin Clark is striking. Had Clark landed in a similar system, we might never have witnessed her logo threes, her no-look passes, or the way she's redefined what's possible in the sport. Instead of becoming the face of basketball, not just women's basketball but basketball itself, she might have been reduced to just another role player trying to fit into someone else's system. And that is the real danger facing women's basketball right now. Players like Clark and Fuwuli are being told to tone it down, play it safe, and fit the mold. But every time a player is benched for attempting something spectacular, the sport loses a little of its magic. Because what makes players like Clark and Fuwuli so special is that they're not just athletes, they're artists. When Clark pulls up from the logo, it isn't just a shot. It's a statement, a declaration of what's possible in basketball. When Malaysia Fuwuli throws a behind-the-back pass in traffic, she's showing us a new way to watch the game. But too many coaches view these flashes of genius as dangers to be avoided, rather than talents to be developed. They are so focused on reducing errors that they are willing to sacrifice the spectacular. It's like telling Van Gogh to stick to painting houses because it's safer than creating masterpieces. When Caitlin Clark plays, people don't simply watch. They fill arenas. They flood social media. The numbers don't lie. Fans tell their friends about what they witnessed. And Clark is attracting new audiences to women's basketball because she plays her way, not the safe way. She is living proof that when talent is allowed to express itself, incredible things happen naturally. But for every Caitlin Clark who discovers her Lisa Bluder, there are players like Fulwilly who remain trapped in systems that don't know how to handle their gifts. These players face a painful choice: adopt a style that minimizes their natural brilliance, or risk being branded as undisciplined and left to watch from the bench. The success of Clark has already shown that there is a massive audience hungry for thrilling, creative basketball. Yet if coaches continue to value control over creativity, they risk losing that momentum. This isn't just about playing time or statistics. It's about the future of women's basketball itself. Every time a player like Fulwilly is benched for playing with flair, it harms the development of every young player watching. It tells them that being different is dangerous, that creativity is a liability, and that the safest path is the only path. The irony is that many coaches genuinely believe they are doing what's best for their players and the game by prioritizing discipline and fundamentals over creative expression. But they are overlooking a critical truth: the best players are often the ones who break the mold. Look at the NBA. Steph Curry revolutionized basketball by doing things traditional coaches might have benched him for. If Curry had been forced to play by the book, instead of unleashing his shooting, the three-point revolution might never have happened. Where would the NBA be today? Women's basketball is at the same kind of crossroads right now. The solution is simple, but it requires courage from coaches to embrace what makes each player unique instead of forcing everyone into the same system. It means recognizing that sometimes a spectacular failure is more valuable than a safe success, because those spectacular moments are what attract fans and grow the game. The reason women's basketball has never been more popular or relevant is because Lisa Bluder saw Caitlin Clark's unique skill set and, rather than trying to change her, changed her system to maximize it. That wasn't just good coaching, it was a blueprint for the future of the sport. But this isn't just about Clark or Fulwilly. It's about every player who has ever been told to stop throwing flashy passes, stop taking deep threes, or stop playing with joy because it didn't fit someone's idea of proper basketball. It's about the future of the sport, whether it will embrace what makes it special or retreat back into comfortable mediocrity. The WNBA should be watching Clark's transition closely. The question is not just where she will play, but whether coaches will allow her to play the way that made her the most famous player in basketball, or try to fit her into a rigid system. Young players across the country are watching, and how Clark and Fulwilly are treated may shape their decision. Is it better to be exceptional or to be safe? Will originality be rewarded or conformity? This goes beyond wins and losses. It's about whether women's basketball will seize this unprecedented opportunity to become something truly extraordinary, or be held back by outdated ideas. Clark's career has already shown us what's possible when talent is allowed to thrive. Fulwilly's treatment shows how quickly that promise can be squandered. And time is running out. Women's basketball has never had more attention, more momentum, or more potential for growth. But realizing that potential will take courage, the courage to let players be who they are, to value creativity over conformity, and to accept that the most beautiful basketball doesn't always look like what the manual prescribes. The future of the sport is uncertain. But one thing is clear: Lisa Bluder didn't just coach Caitlin Clark, she gave the sport a roadmap. The question now is whether other coaches will have the wisdom and courage to follow it, or whether they'll keep painting by numbers while masterpieces sit on the bench. Will we see more Caitlin Clarks, players who challenge our perception of what's possible on a basketball court? Or will we continue to see creative talent suppressed in favor of the safe and predictable?